Greetings, fellow War of the Ring nerds. This is Bob the Canadian here. So the game I have for you today is my first game of the league playoffs. So how the league playoffs work is they have 16 people from the various leagues that, got high enough in their league. This year's a little bit weird with how big League Tier 3 was. So anyway, I'm one of the ones from League Tier 3, and Vase is one of the ones from League Tier 2. So that means that he is the higher seed, so he gets to pick first in bidding. So unlike tournament games, which are a best of 3, the league playoffs are kind of crammed in between mid-November and end of December is what they're aiming for. So it's best of 1 with bidding, which is exciting because I find bidding fun anyway. Because it allows for a little personal expression of how much you value tokens, how much you value rings, and how much you value the shadow versus free people side. So it's interesting anyway. So he got to bid first, and he bid 1 token, and then I offered him 2 tokens, and he took it. So it's what most people say is balanced anyways, free people with 2 tokens. It's tough because do you really want to give the other person even more than that? That feels bad. But at the same time, personally, between Shadow versus 2 tokens, most players in the top cut usually took Shadow when they were offered the choice for Game 3. But at the same time, giving more than 2 tokens feels tough. So it's an interesting little, back and forth ahead of time. Also, funnily enough, last time we played was the Game 3 of the bronze match, in which I was Shadow and he was free people with 2 tokens, and he won that game. So naturally, that seems like a pretty good start anyway. Okay, so I'm Shadow. I have Pits of Mortar and Black Captain. Very happy to see both those cards. He gets Swords and Aerodor and Ensa Wake. So that's not, they aren't garbage cards. Well, Swords and Aerodor is a little bit garbage, but not ideal cards for turn 1. At least you could cycle Swords and Aerodor, so that's something. So anyway, I do my usual allocating 0 eyes, and I roll 0. And not only do I roll 0, I only roll 1 muster. So no Saruman for me. So that's already bad news bears for me. And then I think to myself, well, maybe he'll roll low movement, and that'll be okay. And he rolls 3 movement. So the bears are bearing bad news for me this day. So the other downside is that all of these are character dice. Aside from these 2, which means I can only move 1 army. If they were all army movements, I could be getting a lot more done. But at the same time, at least they're all movement. They're not Palantirs either, so it could be worse. At least I'm going to move 1 army really far this turn anyway. And he's going to move the Fellowship 3 times without getting hit. Maybe 4 times if he uses a ring. So, anyway. So, we also, the curse I'm referring to that I just always lose him. We've had a bunch of games where they're like fairly close and reasonably well played, and the luck just turns on me and I lose horribly. So, we've made jokes about this before. Just like I always lose to him. That's just how it works. He also beat me in the Lords of Middle-earth League. He won both our games very, very decisively. Like they were not close at all. Just brutal luck both times. Anyway, so he moves the Fellowship, of course. I decide to muster Saruman down first. So if I'd had a Palantir as well, I might have contemplated mustering Sauron to war and then using the Palantir to play Pits of Mordor so that this army would be a little bit bulkier, and then hitting the gas for the Dew line because he doesn't have an H die, and it would feel silly to use his Will of the West to put a guy in the way in Old Forest Road when he could be spending it on moving the Fellowship for free. And maybe I should have done that anyway. Maybe I should have just put Sauron to war and hit the gas towards Woodland Realm right now. But I kind of wanted to bring Saruman to war because that way, if he does use a ring to move a 4th time this turn, then I get Saruman this turn. So that's something anyway. Also, in case I only roll 1 muster again next turn, now I'm at least up to 8 dice for turn 3. So, okay, so he moves again. I shuffle armies. So I think about this for a little bit. I think I end up deciding that putting that Isengard regular in Moria doesn't make as much sense because if I play Pits of Mordor, I already have a full 10 troops between these 2 spots, so I don't really need that guy there. Like, it's still nice to have him for Devilry of Orthanc purposes, but that might not come up at all. So, anyway. So he played Swords and Aerodor just for the fun of cycling. Picks up Imra Hill in the last battle. Those are good cards. And I've got 5 character dice, so just here we go. Boop. And he moves again, and voop. So this army, like, as much of a bummer as it is that he got 3 free movement and there's no Saruman, this army got from Barad-dûr to knocking on Dale's doorstep turn 1. Like, that's pretty cool. But he thinks about using a token and doesn't. I think that's the correct call. Like, there's no pressing need to use it right now. Like, you might as well see what next turn looks like before you commit. So now I have to allocate one eye, and I roll 2 more eyes and 1 muster. So now this is, I think I commented this is, yeah, this could not be going worse, because now he can move twice and probably kill Gandalf. And even if I wait till my last die to bring in Saruman, he can use a token so that he gets to go last. So I can't even get Saruman this turn without probably giving him Gandalf. And I rolled 3 eyes too, so it's very likely that he can kill Gandalf on 2 moves. So anyway, so he moves and he gets hit, and it's a 3. So there you go. That's just perfect. I couldn't ask for better. Well, maybe you could ask for getting missed the first time, then moving a second time, and then drawing a 3. That'd be even nicer. But this is still, I would feel great anyway to be free peoples at this point. Okay, so I move armies towards Lorien because I want to at least make him, I don't know, I want to offer the opportunity for him to use the Will of the West first, just in case he's not paying enough attention to what he could do, so that I can maybe get Saruman. So that's why I'm delaying using this muster here. So he's mustering the elves down, which makes a lot of sense, seeing as I'm in a bit of a tight spot. So I think I go ahead, I muster Sauron down to war so that I can at least put this army in the way in Old Forest Road. But now that he sees that I'm not doing him the service of bringing in Saruman, he can use this Will of the West to put a guy in the way, since there's no way he's getting Gandalf the White this turn, which makes a lot of sense. If I go ahead and attack Old Forest Road, and he has cycled some strategy cards, so I'm a little worried about scouts, but I'm moderately lucky that he doesn't have scouts. And I get 1 hit, as you would expect. He does not get a hit back, so that much is nice for me anyway. He moves again, and he's hit, and it's a 0 reveal. So that's nice anyway. So the Fellowship, funnily enough, has been hit every single step that dice were rolled, but they've still moved 5 steps and only been hit twice. So anyway, so there's a 0 reveal into a 1 reveal. That's a pretty good tile to draw. Just getting those reveals out of the bag when you're already revealed feels nice. Okay, so I pick up Rage of the Dunlendings and Warn with Sorrow and Toil. Very nice to see that card early, especially right after they just passed Lorien, like a convenient stop. And he picks up Power Too Great, which is absolutely the best card you could possibly ask for from the deck right now, because he can play that, which not only puts the elves to war, but means that I can't attack Lorien. So, yeah, anyway, that's just obviously great. So I allocate 1 eye and roll more, and I remember thinking to myself, I just need 2 attacks to get these under siege, and then 2 musters so I can get Saruman and the Witch King this turn. That would be great. And the game gave me exactly that. It gave me 2 attacks and 2 musters. So, like, I'm not going to get a lot done this turn. I'm just going to put them under siege, but at least I'm up to 9 dice for next turn. And he... Right. He rolls this, which is worse for him for sure. Like, he's probably going to get Gandalf the White this turn, because I could delay getting both of them again, but that doesn't feel like a good deal to me. So anyway, this was a turning point in the game where just the luck was 100% his way the first 2 turns. This turn is very my way. So he has... This does work well for him for defending the elves, though, because he can play Power Too Great with this Palantir. Yeah, my all caps no, because I remember thinking to myself after we rolled these dice and looking at what I wanted to do this turn, it's like, man, if he had Power Too Great, that would completely ruin my plans. Then he put it down. It's just, no! But, yeah, anyway. So naturally, I attack Woodland Realm because it's not protected by Power Too Great, and at least that's 1 stronghold that he doesn't get to muster in at all. But now, of course, he can muster twice in Lorien, because he can muster in once, and then I can discard Power Too Great, which I think I remember I had not 2 bad cards to throw out. Yeah, I chucked Phlox and Olog High here. Yeah, so there goes Power Too Great. And then, of course, he could still use the Strider ability to hide and then move once here, or he could muster another elite here and probably get Gandalf, because I'm probably going to get them. Yeah, so there I go. So there's Saruman, there's the Witch King. And I use Black Captain commands here because having the extra Nazgul is nice, and I get to attack with a Palantir. Like, I usually would rather pivot Nazgul with it, but at the same time, like, I'm still getting to use a Palantir to attack, so that helps a lot. So I'm attacking Woodland Realm. What am I going to... I think I play Rage of the Dunlendings here. Yeah. Oh, no, I play Death for Battle. Okay. Into Daylight, which is, feels good for the free peoples. I get 0 hits, which is a bit bad luck, and he gets 2, so that is not great. That doesn't feel good. Okay, and then, so I redraw into Hill Trolls, which obviously isn't playable because I don't have any elites. I go no card, and I roll 1/6. So that's, tomato, it's about fair. He gets no hits back, so yeah. Anyway. Of course, Gandalf the White shows up, and I attack Woodland Realm again, because I'm thinking, there's always a chance he might pick up Thranduil next turn, so I might as well try to blow it up right now. So I use Rage of the Dunlendings here, and I take one hit, and I roll 2 5s. So I feel very happy about taking that one hit. That's perfect. He rolls no hits back. So it's funny. The Woodland Realm Elves started out really strong and then just whiffed for the next 2 rounds after that. So anyway, on we go. Oh, and I was right. He did pick up Thranduil right after that. Wow, I'm glad I rushed that Stronghold. Man, that feels so bad. I feel like that happens all the time as the Free People's player, you know? Like a Stronghold falls, and the next turn you pick up the card that would help reinforce it. Okay, anyway. So yeah, what extra feels bad is that he was against just one eye last turn, and he didn't manage to hide or move the Fellowship at all. That being said, he bolstered Lorien incredibly and got Gandalf the White. So it's still, like, it's not like he accomplished nothing, but not moving against one eye feels bad. So I go 0 eyes again because he didn't move, and just with the general good health and speed of the Fellowship, I'm just hoping to outrace them at the point, so might as well take the opportunity for 0 eyes. And I roll 1, which is perfect. That's exactly what I'd like. And he rolls 4 movement against my 1 eye, so that's a little bit scary. I remember being glad he's revealed, because if he wasn't revealed, there's a chance he could just move 5 times and get to Mordor this turn. So anyway, he hides with a character, because, you know, I might have Mortal Wound or Breaking or something. I think I play Palantir here. Yeah, I play the Palantir here because I want to put Worn Restore and Toil down, but I might as well put Palantir down first and maybe bait a Ring and a character die away from him. And yeah. He moves again, and it's unlikely he was going to get hit and lose a casualty there on 1 at 6, so I figured it was safe to not rush with Worn Restore and Toil and hopefully get the redraw. So I was going to move ahead with my armies, but then I thought, no, wait, Bob, quick, play that in case he decides to take away your Palantir. Moves again, and it's a hit and a reveal. So that's very good news for me. That helps a lot just for slowing him down. I play many kings here. I think I remember I was kind of just doing stalling moves here, hoping that he would spend the H hiding the Fellowship, and then I could hopefully get Erebor or play New Powers Rising and get Helm's Deep. So, but if he had the H, then of course he can move that dwarf there, and he can move these Rohan troops over, so he can defend both of them with that die. But I think I remember he does not fall for any pro-offered bait here, and does exactly that. For the Southrons down, so the Southrons down some more. So conveniently, this army is poised to rush at Dol Amroth if he has another turn where he doesn't roll any musters, and I'm also getting this army ready to come and help take out Erebor. So he plays Ents here. Right, which he's mainly doing just because he has, you know, all these cards he needs to get, like, they're not amazing cards, but at the same time, you'd still rather not lose them to Worm Restore and Toil. You'd rather get value out of them, so at least he's weakening the Isengard army this way, and he gets Elven Rope in there. I attack Erebor. Always feels nice to have neither of these strongholds as options to retreat to when you attack Dale. Feels nice. Okay, so I pick up Morgul Wound and Day Without Dawn. Like, they're okay. I'm not really planning on corruption being a thing, so Morgul Wound's a little but Day Without Dawn's always welcome to see. And he picked up another blue tile that he'd like to play. And Scouts. Scouts isn't mega valuable right here, but the Red Arrow's still like a nice event. Okay, so I allocate 1 eye, roll 1 more, and he rolls that. So I was so happy to see only 1 movement. Like, that was pretty lucky for me. Also, that's something I was happy about seeing Day Without Dawn, is that if he'd rolled a character and a Will of the West, then that would also keep him from getting to Mordor this turn. Because if he had even 2 movement, he could use Strider's ability to hide, 2 dice to move, and a 3rd with a ring to get into Mordor this turn. But with only 1 movement, even if he spends a ring, he's only getting 2 more steps, so he can't get to Mordor this turn. Anyway. No, he hides the Fellowship, because what else are you going to do with those Palantirs? Probably play Elven Cloaks. Okay, so I bring armies along. Right, I'm noticing his lack of H and character dice, so I can, you know, threaten getting Helm's Deep here, maybe force him to spend a ring. Or he could use the character die to walk back to Helm's Deep, but then he's not moving the Fellowship at all again unless he spends a ring. So, yes, I comment on how the dice have started being nicer to me, because we were playing fast, hadn't chatted for a bit, and after the first 2 turns, it had certainly been in his favor, and now it's a little more even. Maybe even my way at this point. Okay, so I attack Erebor, which I think makes sense, because I want to try to use up more of this army so that when I bring in reinforcements from Iron Hills, I can bring in more of them and do it more efficiently. So, like, there is a chance he could play Sudden Strike, No Quarter, Confusion, and kill my army right now, but it seems unlikely to me anyway. Like, even if he has confusion or one of those, it's just probably not going to do that much damage. I do have 6 hit points here. So anyway. So I play a character card. Obviously, that's got to be Morgul Wound. And he plays Thranduil. Yeah, there's there's Thranduil the Useless. Anyway, I get 3 hits plus leader, so that feels amazing. But he gets 4 hits back, so that hurts a lot. Yeah. So I'm feeling very glad that I did do that much damage and kill the leader, because if his army was stronger, the odds of him sortieing and killing the Witch King right here would be not that bad. As it is, he would have to have Confusion or No Quarter to help, because now Charge doesn't help, and now Sudden Strike doesn't help because there's no leadership. So anyway, since he doesn't have any of those cards, he could still spend a ring to do it and just hope to roll 2 hits on 3 dice. But I think that's not super likely. And he, I think, makes the correct choice to not go for it. Bummer. Getting hit on 2 dice at 6, and it's a reveal. That doesn't feel great. Like, the reveal isn't so bad because you have Strider, but it's still a die you have to spend on that, and you couldn't have got to spend otherwise. Okay, so I'm continuing on with my plan of attacking Rohan, and he, I think, makes the correct choice of spending a ring to move those Gondor troops into Helm's Deep, because, like, Erebor's pretty close to dead. If I get Helm's Deep too, like, that's 7 points right there. Like, assuming I also get Dale anyway. So then just 3 more points, like, between everything available in the south here. That seems not that unattainable, and he's probably making Mordor next turn. So anyway. So I attack Helm's Deep here, which I think is probably the biggest mistake I make of the game. Because I was thinking, Rohan will still be 1 step away from war, and then I can spend the ring on my muster die to take 2 orcs and conquer both these. Then Rohan will be at war, and he won't get to do any mustering. I did think to myself, there's a chance he has the Red Arrow, Riders of Theoden, or Eomer. But, I don't know, it's only turn 5. There's decent odds that he doesn't have any of those. And if he had Eomer, he probably would have wanted to play it in Helm's Deep ahead of time. So, anyway, I attack Helm's Deep, and I leave those 2 orcs behind so I can hopefully conquer them. And he goes ahead and plays the Red Arrow, which I realize as he plays it, not only is that making it impossible for me to conquer both of them right now, is also mustering Rohan to war, making this an even bigger pain in the butt. So I really should have just, used a ring to conquer both of these first, put Rohan to war, let him muster an extra elite, and then besiege it. I should have done it that way. Then it would just be an extra elite instead of this huge pain in the butt that I need to come back and clean up and wait for it to muster up. So anyway, I decided to proceed with cracking Erebor first because it's almost dead, and then I can bring all this leadership down here and make life better. So let's see, I'm playing character card, so that'd be a Fielder's Bane then. He plays no card, which makes sense. And I just get 3 hits straight away. So that's a bit on the lucky side for sure. 1 hit back. Always nice to get a red tile. Then he musters in Rohan, naturally. I play New Powers Rising. Very happy to have that card right now. Okay, so he picks up Riders of Theoden and Dead Men of Dunharrow. That's a Chad hand if ever I've seen one. Those cards are just begging, and there's Challenge of the King. They're just begging you to separate Strider and get up to some shenanigans over here. I get Orc Patrol and Shadows on the Misty Mountains. That's not bad. In theory, I could play Shadows on the Misty Mountains and walk that with this army down just to have an even bigger meatball to deal with Rohan. That's a lot of walking, though, to get them there. I remember I was also thinking about potential plans for Rivendell Shire or Grey Havens with Shadows plus this army. Okay, so I get 1 eye because I have to and roll 1 more, and he rolls 3 movement, so probably getting to Mordor this turn. He hides the Fellowship. I keep cycling with the Palantir because, I have only 1 Palantir, so I might as well quick cycle it before he takes it away. Just in case he does. He moves, and he's safe. So I thought about playing Nazgul Search here just to, waste another die. I really was hoping that he's going to move again and not get hit, and then maybe I can play Cruel Weather. That's the hope anyway. So I attack Dale just to cycle character cards, and because obviously it's a victory point I want to get at some point. I get my 1 hit. He gets 1 back. It doesn't really matter, though. Like, the battle in Dew is done. He can muster up in Carrick, but it's unlikely that he's going to be able to muster up substantially enough to challenge this army in Dale. That'd take a lot of mustering. Okay, so now I pivot leadership, and I'm noticing that there's only 1 muster. So I can hopefully go get Dol Amroth. Like, I'm scared, of course, about Imrahil and Qdan because the elves are at war. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe he hasn't had that yet. It's turn 6. There's decent enough odds. He, of course, knows that he has Imra Hill, which fits perfectly. So after I attack Pelargir, Gondor will be at war. He can muster once this turn. I'll put it under siege, and then next turn he can play Imra Hill. And I put a Nazgul on the Fellowship because, I mean, I'm probably not going to cycle into, what do you call it, Crowweather. So I might as well get the extra damage. Anyway, also I think the hunt pool is fairly not revealing at this point. Yeah, it's actually slightly more likely that he doesn't get revealed. 6 out of 11 anyway. So, okay, so I attack Pelargir. I get my 1 hit. He gets 1 back. Cycle into Breaking of the Fellowship, which is pretty meh. The other nice part about this specific play, why I did this, of attacking Dale and then pivoting and then attacking Pelargir, is that I got both the North and Gondor their last 2 steps to war, so I can get them out the turn early anyway. Which thereby makes the other muster die here much more valuable because I can use it as an attack now. He draws a card and it's Eomer. That's pretty cool. Wow, that is so cool. He has Eomer and Riders of Theoden to play to make this Edoras army an absolute nightmare for me. That's so cool. Okay, right. He's mainly using the token here as the tempo changer so that he can, what do you call it? See if I'm going to play Crowweather anyway, see if he needs to move an extra time. Yeah, so in comes the Mouth. He musters in Dol Amroth. I use the Mouth ability to walk towards there. And it was a little bit of a question what to do with the second movement. I can either move these armies out of Mordor towards Gondor or these armies somewhere. So I decided to bring them down because like these 2 armies are decent, but they're not huge. And I'm expecting it to take a little bit to crack Helm's Deep. And then I'm going to have to deal with the nightmare that is over here. So anyway, I figure the extra meat will be useful. He moves the Fellowship again. It's safe. So that's a little bit of a bummer. And I obviously don't have Crowweather, so I can't play it. So I attacked Dol Amroth, and yeah, so we had to pause between the days here after we finish this turn and pick up cards. So he thinks for a little bit and ends up separating. Oh yeah, so he paused after moving Strider to the side there, and it's like, oh, something cool is happening. Just because that's always threatening that you're going to separate not only Strider, but other companions as well, right? So he makes I think the correct choice of separating Strider. Well, maybe not necessarily this combination, but the correct idea of separating Strider and some, anyway, to Edoras, because not only do they make Riders of Theoden more versatile and Dead Men of Dunharrow playable, no, those things, yeah. Also, you might get to crown him and get a 6th die. That always feels good. And you can play Challenge of the King now. That's pretty cool. Oh, no, wait. He checked it. Or he played it. I think he played it as a combat card in Erebor. He just checked it. I don't know. Okay, so I pick up... I remember thinking to myself before we drew cards, Shadow Lengthens would be the perfect card here. Just for getting this army down here and this army into the action. And I pick up exactly that one, too. The move 2 Shadow armies up to 2 regions. So I think that's the game apologizing to me for Power 2 Great. That's both of us getting the perfect card at the right time. Once, Okay, so he gets Tom Bombadil and Horn of Gondor. I chuck Shadows on the Misty Mountains and I think Breaking of the Fellowship. So technically he should have waited till after I discarded to do that, but let's be real. We all knew he was going to Mordor. There's no way he's not doing that. Okay, so I end up chucking Breaking because, again, the plan is winning on speed because the Fellowship's just still in pretty good health. Significantly less anyway since these 3 left, but still in reasonably good health. And especially since Strider's gone and Gollum's not here, I don't want to finish separating these companions for him and get him to Gollum. Like right now is the slowness sweet spot. Either Strider or Gollum helps the Fellowship go a lot faster. These guys do not. So anyway. And the rest of these are all good combat cards, and Candles and Givitas seem more likely to be useful than Breaking, so that's why I kept that. And he rolls that lovely roll of 4 musters and a character movement. So that's almost worst case scenario. I think a 5th muster would have been the actual worst case scenario. Actually, no, maybe 5 Wills of the West would have been, because then I'm going to eat them all with Day Without Dawn. But anyway. Yeah, it's not a great roll for me either, because especially, I'm fairly close to winning. All I have to do pretty much is crack these strongholds and hold on to one of these cities. So, there's reasonable hope I could win this turn. So I'd really like to have a whole bunch of attacks, not 4 eyes, So anyway, we save and then start it again the next day. So he has the obvious first move of Imrahil of Dol Amroth. So my life is much less straightforward. The plan for me was to rush Dol Amroth right away, before Imrahil or Kirdan showed up. But there's Imrahil, so now it's a full 5 strength. What do you call it? 5 strength stronghold anyway. So I think about it for a bit. It's less likely that I'm going to win this turn now. Like, there was a chance I could crack that and come fight for Edoras, because he's probably going to use a ring to step on Pelargir. Anyway. Yeah, so I decide I'm probably not going to win this turn, but he's probably not going to win next turn either. So hopefully I win next turn on military, because he's only moving once, maybe twice this turn. If he moves and doesn't get revealed and uses a ring to move again. So I chuck a red tile in there because, like, the stop and the reveal is extra painful since he doesn't have Strider anymore. Like, it is a big hunt pool, so it's probably not that helpful, but it's still, you never know. Like, it's better to have it in now than to put it in as a last-ditch desperation effort when he's on step 4, is my thinking anyway. We muster some more in Rohan. I bring these armies closer because, well, I mean, you'll see. I play Shadows Lengthens to bring these 5 regulars over to West Stemnet to, make it more difficult for him to come and liberate Helm's Deep if things go pear-shaped, and of course to bring the elites over to Helm's Deep to make that more formidable. He musters an elite Edoras, which I think makes a lot of sense. If he hadn't, I would have been very tempted to attack Edoras right now and maybe try to bully Strider out of Rohan so that he can't play Deadman. Okay, so I use the Mouth of Sauron to attack Dol Amroth. Yeah, because I would rather blow it up now, preferably before Círdan shows up, and then get to pivot this leadership over here and then blow up Helm's Deep. Okay, so I open with Dread and Despair, because it's safe. It makes it less likely I'm going to die. He has a decent charge, though. He gets 1 hit. So I forfeit 4, and I get 2 hits. That's slightly above average for me. He gets 1 hit back. So I decide to press here because, keeping the odds of winning this turn alive. Like, he can still play Deadmen or use a ring to take Pelargir back. But if I win right now, I can also use a character die to blow up Helm's Deep, and then I could use my H die to attack Edoras. So it's possible I win this turn anyway. So that's why I press. And then I live to regret this choice. And then I play Deadly Strife into Daylight. So that feels bad. I debated for a while about maybe playing Day Without Dawn instead, just because he does still have 5 regulars. So anyway, I roll 3 hits, which is good, but then he rolls 5 hits back. So that hurts a lot. Yeah, so now it's 3 regulars to 2, which is a delicate standoff anyway. Like, I can win this, but I need good combat cards, and I don't really have them right now. So I was surprised by this anyway, that he chose to not move the Fellowship here. He said that he couldn't risk it, which, to be fair, there are 4 eyes and 2 red tiles in there, and the eyes would hurt a lot right now, like the 4 damage. So then Boromir's gone, and you're up to 5, and you only have 3 more left. So that is understandable anyway. Like, corruption is a concern, but speed is also a concern. So it's hard to balance the two sometimes, especially in like intense endgames like this. So I go ahead and attack Dol Amroth because I'm thinking, all I need is 2 6s. Like, that would be a bit lucky, but that's all I need. And I'm worried about Strider and Lego Boy here coming up and bullying me off at next turn. So I'm hoping to quick take it so I can still win next turn, hopefully. So I play Lidless Eye just for cycling's sake, and I get no hits, and he also gets no hits. So that's expected, was probably 1 hit for both of us. Like, I have 6 dice to roll a 6. He has 3 dice rolling at 5s. Yeah, I think 1 hit on average for both of us would have been fair. We both bemourn the fact that we didn't get 2 hits. Yeah, that would have been really bad, though. If I'd whiffed and he'd gotten 2 hits, then he could spend a ring to sortie here and almost, most likely kill the Witch King anyway. So he musters an elite in Pelargir. I attack Dol Amroth again. This time I'm playing Lure of the Ring, which will actually help. So I get 1 hit, though. 2 would have been, neat. He also gets 1 hit. So anyway, now it's 2 against 1, which is an even dicier standoff, because he would just need, like, if I attack and he has no quarter, decent odds I just die right there. So he gets I Will Go Alone and Faramir's Rangers, decent cards. I get Shelob and Orcs. Very happy to see Shelob, of course. Okay, so he gets 1 corruption for not moving. So I put in 0 eyes this time because, again, I'm just trying to, what do you call it? Wait, didn't he get 1 corruption? I think he did get 1 corruption. Yeah, he did. He took it already, yeah. Okay, so he rolls a better roll this time. 2 H's, 2 C's, and an M. So that's good for coming to bully off Dol Amroth. So I debate here attacking Dol Amroth to try to crack it and at least waste his dice retaking it. But the problem is if I don't take it, then my army's still sitting here, possibly down to 1 regular, and then he can attack with this army. So just the odds of me losing the Witch King there were too high for my liking. So he decides to run away, like the chicken that he is. I leave the two Nazgul there just in case he decides to not bother attacking me off Dol Amroth. Then I can still attack and hopefully take it and waste more of his time. But he decides to go ahead and attack Dol Amroth. No card, no card. And I'm lucky that he only rolls 1 hit. And I get 2 hits back. So that, yeah, that helps for sure. As I mentioned, it still would have been nicer to roll a 6 last time. But yeah, here we are. So naturally, I retreat to Anphalas because, lol, why not? Like, I could stay just to hopefully take out 1 more regular, but I'd rather keep this army here just because it's annoying. That means he has to leave more guys behind if he is going to go back out to fight for Pelargir. So now I chuck Shelob in because he's probably going to move twice. And I want to, keep milking the Palantir. He plays Horn of Gondor here, which I also find interesting. Again, it's this trying to analyze the balance between corruption and speed. Just personally, I would have moved there. But, there are, again, 4 eyes and 3 red tiles in there. So being scared of corruption it's a valid concern anyway. Okay, so I attack Helm's Deep. Excited to play We Come to Kill. That always feels good to get it on. 5 elites is obviously the best, but 3 elites still feels good. Against Shield Wall, I roll 2 6s, so 1 gets canceled. That's slightly demoralizing, but that's still a hit. He gets 2 hits back, and I get 2 hits with my We Come to Kill, so that's above average. So I press naturally because why not go faster? I pick up Devilry of Orthanc, which is perfectly usable here. And I roll 3 hits, so that's the end of Helm's Deep. You get 2 hits back. So it's funny how sometimes strongholds hang on forever, like that Dol Amroth siege that was a nightmare, and other times they just, oh, okay, you can have it, and they just all die quietly, and it's great. And he moves the Fellowship, and he gets a 1. So I think that's the second best tile in there for him. Yeah, there's 1 blue tile, but after that, the non-revealing 1 was certainly the next best thing to ask for. So I play the Shadow is Moving here just for, normally I end up using it as Swarm of Bats, but I have a Palantir and I have a lot of armies I want to move, so it feels good. Yeah. So I've got, conveniently, this roll on army is trapped now because I got to move a couple regulars into fold, and I got to get my army out from Helm's Deep, so I'm all ready to attack. So I took a character card here because I was thinking, if he does come out to fight me for Pelargir, there's 2 cards in there that I really like. I want Ringwraiths Abroad, and I want Dreadful Spells, because the odds of getting to play Dreadful Spells and just blow up that regular and then just sneak in and take it would have been really cool. And there's not that many character cards left. Also, there's a red tile there's 1 more red tile I want to put in there. So. Anyway, he musters an Edoras. Right, he musters leadership in both. I attack Osgiliath. I don't get a hit. He retreats to Pelargir just to annoy me. He has successfully annoyed me. Good job, buddy. I attack Minas Tirith and put it under siege, and then I attack Edoras. I think I'm playing Cruel Weather here. Yeah. And I get 4 hits. So that's unlikely to get 4 hits against, the first round of combat where you're supposed to only get hits on 6s. And he gets 0 hits back. So that's it's just an absurd, got to be less than 1% odds of it going that well for me. So I press naturally because I want to exterminate this army. I play Wormtongue just because it's a not very useful card, and I'm getting to cancel 2 leadership here. So I might as well try to preserve this army a little bit, I get 2 hits. He gets 3 hits. And rerolls any, but if it was a hit, then I would have bothered mentioning it. Alstanch was there. I got 2 more hits, and he gets 1 hit back. So I'm, it's sad that this army is that much weaker, but I'm still glad that Rohan is finally wrapped up and dealt with, because it was more of a nightmare than I wanted it to be. I pick up Durin's Bane, which is on the chopping block for cards to throw out anyway, because there's very low odds that I'm going after Lorien at this point. But Corsairs, which I'm very happy to see. The plan right now is probably using it as Deadly Strife against Minas Tirith, but if they come out to fight, then maybe I'll play Corsairs. Oh, and he gets Mithril Coat. Nice. So I roll another 3 eyes, and he rolls this kind of gas turn. So this is the turn, this is the nightmare turn that I'm scared of, where he's just going to move 4 times and hit non-revealing tiles and just win. Because sometimes that happens, you know. Like, it's still unlikely that it would go that well. But I suppose after the companions are gone, then these non-revealing ones, it's still unlikely that he could move 4 times in a row. And also an eye would be devastating towards the end of that after you've moved a couple times too. So it is unlikely, I know. But I just get scared of these things. So he thought for a bit, and he uses the Will of the West to move armies. So this big army in Lorien is coming down to mess with me and Rohan. Which I remember thinking to myself, there's a chance he's going to do that. And then he did it, which I wasn't expecting, but the more I thought about it, the more it makes sense. Because what are the odds that Helm's Deep is going to hold against not only this army, but also this army? Pretty poor. So it doesn't matter that you're keeping Pelargir and Dol Amroth. I don't need it. I have 5 points here. And Lorien's the only one who can do something about that. So the options were either sprint with all 5 of your dice and hope you get there, or come down from Lorien and fight for Rohan. Or, I guess, run and not make it in the Mordor track and hope that Minas Tirith holds on. Anyway, so I move the orcs from Orthanc because I'm thinking, like, there's a decent chance he has an Ent card and he might kill Saruman, but that's okay. Like, I don't need his die in the Palantir that badly. What I need is for these orcs to be in Helm's Deep and keep those 2 points for me. So he moves to Fangorn, and I keep running those orcs into Helm's Deep. Like, I had to hit the road right then, because if I left now, then he could attack Fords of Isen and maybe kill some of those orcs before they get in there. So, anyway. So he uses a ring to use an H die to finish moving Strider and company back to Pelargir to defend against these 3 guys. And Gandalf and the elves are here, and Rohan to take back Edoras. So I chuck another red tile in there because, you know, might as well. Like, the Fellowship's moving, like, he's probably going to attack Edoras. So they're only moving 1 time. So, you know, decreasing the odds of him winning next turn is still valid, because I'm probably not going to win this turn. So I attack Minas Tirith here, and I play Onslaught with the express purpose of using up a bunch of these regulars so that I can move this entire army in efficiently. Things don't go well, though. I roll 1 hit, and he rolls 4 hits, so I don't get to do very much with my Onslaught. I think about using all 3, but I want to be able to do a half movement. So I decide to only just do 2, and I roll 1-1. So it's just very depressing stuff. I spent 6 orcs and I got 1 hit. So that, you know, doesn't feel amazing. But he moves and hits the red tile, so that does feel amazing. So the 1 reveal, obviously the red eye would have been better. I think this is still the second best tile in there, because the hit and the reveal to make him slow down even more is what I really like. So I'd rather draw this than Shelob or the red 3 at this moment. Okay, so I use the mouth to shuffle armies along. So I'm kind of scared that he's Círdan at this point, because he left Dol Amroth undefended, but there's a chance that like he's playing it to the wire. There was a good chance that he's doing this because he felt like he had to, and he doesn't have Círdan. So anyway, so he attacks Edoras, of course, and he doesn't get a 6 on 6 dice, which is bad luck, but not absurdly bad luck, but still bad. So he attacked Edoras, and I play Corsairs and attack Dol Amroth. So we're kind of just playing ping pong for a little bit here. So I pick up Ringwraiths are Abroad, which I'm very happy to see. And he gets there and back again, and the Spirit of Mordor. Interestingly, Spirit of Mordor would have been playable here on Minas Tirith. So anyway, I allocate an eye because I have to, and I roll 3 eyes again. So that's 4 turns in a row of rolling 3 eyes, which is, I mean, it's not that bad because it is putting corruption pressure on the Fellowship, but still, I'd just rather have gotten, 8 attacks and just finish this off at turn 7, Anyway, he uses a character die, so he's coming after Dol Amroth. So I use a ring to turn it into a Palantir, just so I could get the redraw from Palantir of Orthanc, to play Ringwraiths are Abroad and bring some Nazgul over, and hopefully take Helm's Deep, not Helm's Deep, Dol Amroth, and he can probably take it back with this army, but it's going to waste a lot of his time anyway. That's the main plan here. So I attack Dol Amroth, and I'm playing, I think, Desperate Battle, because between the 2 of these that I would like to play at Minas Tirith, there is still 5 regulars in there, and I'm scared of 5 regulars this game. That didn't go well at Dol Amroth, so I'd rather play the one that doesn't make all their dice stronger. Like, granted, Desperate Battle also makes my dice stronger, but Foul Thing from the Deep, at least, isn't helping them hit me harder, too, And, of course, I'd rather just hurry up and get this little snot and take Dol Amroth, and, yeah. So I play my Desperate Battle, and I miss the first round, but I get a hit the second round. So very much a sigh of relief there. He gets one hit back. So interestingly, if I hadn't played Desperate Battle, I still would have gotten him, but he wouldn't have gotten a hit back. So that feels bad, but I still got it. So I'm very happy about that. So he attacks Dol Amroth, and then I use the Mouth of Sauron ability to attack Minas Tirith. Thing against No Quarter, I get 3 hits, so that helps. And he gets 3 plus 1, so 4. So my army is significantly weakened, but so is his. That's still a good deal for me overall. I don't press because, I'm running low on troops. The other plus side to cycling a character card is I knew Grond was in there still, and there was only 3. So I could use it as Dread and Despair against the army and Dol Amroth to slow them down. So he attacks Dol Amroth, and I play it. So he's only rolling 2 dice, and if he rolled 2 6s there, I remember when he had another reroll, I was like, oh, don't you dare roll another 6. Don't you dare. And he didn't. So that's good news for me anyway. So, I would say I'm not going to win this siege. I'm not going to keep it forever, but making him spend more dice to take it back. Dice are a very valuable commodity in games like this. Okay, I attack Minas Tirith again, and I cycled into Great Host, so that's a perfect card for 5 units against 2. Just guaranteed that it's going to work for me, unless I guess he has Sudden Strike or Confusion or something. I play my Great Host, but I just roll 2 6s anyway, so yeah, there you go. So he gets 2 hits back, which is mildly relevant anyway, because I still need this army to go and get Pelargir. And weirdly, the game kept crashing on us at this point. So anyway, I finished Dol Amroth, and I'm up to 11 points. Thinks about it for a little bit. Attacks Dol Amroth, because this is the only way he stays in this round, is if he takes Dol Amroth and then also musters up in Pelargir, and that army somehow wins against the army from Minas Tirith, which is very low odds, but it's the only above 0% chance. So he goes for it. He gets a 6. I get 1 hit back, but that doesn't matter. So I'm back down to 9 points. So I muster in Moria because this whole time I was also thinking about the hilarious attack of this orc attacking this elf, mano a mano, and then just play Durin's Bane and hope I get 2 hits. There's a very real chance. It's 50% odds that you get 2 hits. So hilariously, for the price of 2 dice, I'd have a 50% chance at getting it. But then I also remembered there's a chance he has Celeborn's in hand. He didn't, of course. But if I'd attacked him, he could retreat into a siege and then play Celeborn, and then Balrog isn't going to work. So anyway, that's why I went this way, is it just seemed more likely to succeed. Okay, so anyway, finish taking Dol Amroth, and I bring that elite out there, just so that I have this plan to fall back on in the very unlikely event that I don't take Pelargir. So I attack Pelargir, and I play Swarm of Bats, of course. He has probably no playable cards at this point, right? Yeah, he could play Scouts. That's all he could play. And obviously, he doesn't want to play that. So I get 1 hit. He doesn't get a hit. I press, and I get my hit. He gets a hit back. And that's that. So a very drawn-out game. When turn 7, there was a reasonable chance that I just won it on the spot to last another, to make it take that turn plus another 3 is, quite something. It's tough because when you're spending all your resources just, flailing about keeping the Shadow player off 10 points, you don't have a lot of dice left over for actually moving the Fellowship. So it's tough anyway. So he mentions that he was thinking about going after Moria earlier, and that was certainly a downside to my pivoting after Rohan, was that just leaving 1 orc behind against a 1/4/1 army in Lorien with 2 empty strongholds behind it was, if I'd had one of those apocalyptic, all ice, a Palantir, and an army movement kind of turns, he might have just gotten a military victory. There was a chance of that. So anyway, but I also felt just earlier on with how fast the Fellowship was going, I try to win the race anyway. So anyway, that's that. Statistics wise, so +2 on 6s for me, +8 on 5. So that's pretty good. Those 5s aren't always useful, but +8 on 5s, you'd still rather have it than not. +4 on eyes, -6 on Palantirs. I had a couple turns where I wish I'd rolled a couple more Palantirs just because I had the Palantir Vorthank in play. +8 on characters, -4 on H's. So that's a little bit, you'd rather have more armies in H's than character dice, but that's still overall +4 on attacks, which is good news bears. He had +5 on characters, -4 on wills, so that's not amazing. That's still +1 movement overall, but those wills of the West can be pretty key. He still had one for getting Gandalf at the right time, though, so yeah. and average overall in hits for him. So yeah, anyway, I thought it was a pretty well-played game, and I'm looking forward to playing the winner of Ira versus Wander and Womb in the next one. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.